Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we are going to take a look at some AOS goodness from Day 2 of Warhammer Fest 2022. We're going to go straight in. We've got a new Skaven Deathmaster, and he honestly looks pretty damn good to me. That is a nice looking sculpt. I will say though, I was massively impressed by the paint job. Now this is admittedly the only Skaven unit that we saw. There was no other models shown off. They are getting a new battle tome, but this was the only unit, the only new thing that was revealed. And one of the first things I thought when I saw this was, wow, the metal's really nice on that paint job. Like, it's not like they don't normally do a good job with, like, display purpose paint jobs. Normally their models look great anyway, but there's just something about the metal on this that, I don't know, it feels like slightly a cut above most of the other stuff. I think it's true metallic metal, but in a more like non-metallic metal style. I really like the look of it. It is a cool model. I do like the dagger with the venom, and I do like the whatever the hell that is, the shuriken. That's probably not what it's called. Also with some venom dripping off. That tail as well with the little barbed hook on the end. It's just sneaky, it's murderous, it's just what you want, right? It's just what you want out of something Skaven-y and assassination based. I apologise if I stumble over a few words. This video is going to be chopped to hell because I had a tooth extracted earlier today, and I don't know why I'm trying to record, but I'm just excited about this stuff, so I wanted to do it. So that's where we are. Now there are some close-ups of this lad, and I really like the cloak on this. The cloak's really nicely done. I like the fact they've got that long like hood, but still the leather mask over the face. I love painting clothes and cloth and robes now. I never used to like it. I do like it a lot now, and I really wanna just dry brush the hell out of that cloak. Like that to me is genuinely kind of a highlight of the model, and I realise that might seem a bit silly given that it's just cloth, but I don't know, I think there's a certain attitude and a certain like presence that's gained from this. I like the way that it's draped over the stonework on one side. It just suits it really, really well. It gives it a cool silhouette. Now, as I say, that was the only model shown off. They did show off the battle tome, which looks remarkably like the old battle tome, except it's got a bit of red at the top. So, I mean, it'd be nice to see new artwork, right? That's just me. I just feel like maybe get a new cover done. That would be nice. That would be fun. But yeah, it's the same as the old one, just with a bit of red on it, which is a little bit disappointing. And I know quite a few people were expecting to see something a bit more substantial when it comes to the Skaven stuff. As it stands though, the Deathmaster is the only thing that we have new model-wise, but it is a solid entry, I think. Now we are shifting onto the Sylvaneth with this, the Lady of Vines. So, I haven't read a lot of Age of Sigmar fiction, to be honest. I've not read much in the way of Black Library stuff for Age of Sigmar. I very much just approached it with a thing of, well, this seems like a setting where you can make pretty much whatever you like, and so far, literally everyone I've spoken to who plays the game has been more than happy to see that being done. So, I don't necessarily know the backstory of the Lady of Vines. All I can tell you is that I really like this model, because Sylvanas has got a certain style, and for me, the style that I like the most are, like, the woody bits, right? Things like the Tree Lords, like Drycha Hammerdreth, stuff like that. I love those models. I love the textures on them. I like the kind of organic feel of them, but they still look a bit spooky and a bit brutal. I think there's a really nice balance between I would say wood elf, naturey, hippie stuff and like brutal, savage, cruel kind of feel to them. This is like the best of both worlds. It really is. You've got this really nice kind of head crest with leaves growing out of it, but then you've also got that awful like claw hand, the tendrils coming out from the back. They've got leaves on, but they also end in points, so you know they could impale someone. I looked at this and I was like, well, I already have like a good, I think 1,000 points of Sylvaneth for AOS. I would 100% add this to that army, because it is an undead-themed AOS army, so there's skeletons coming out of the wood, and Drycha Hammerdreth has got a bunch of torsos coming out where hers would normally come out. I would absolutely do something similar to this, and it would work. Like, you could have bodies hanging off the tendrils, you could have hands coming out of the tendrils trying to grasp stuff, you could do all sorts of creepy stuff with this model, and I love it for that. Admittedly, this could be a case of me looking at it more as conversion and kit bash fodder than as a like model in its own right, But I do think it's a pretty solid little bit of kit. It's different, it's interesting, it's creepy. I mean, that to me, creepy kind of sums Sylvaneth up. And this is a creepy model. Got a little bit more detail on the back there. I like the fact that like those tendrils that are coming out, those branches that are spreading out from the back, it looks like they are growing out of something else. Like that's an artificial thing that has been strapped onto the back of this creepy as hell Lady of Vines. I like that approach quite a lot. The skulls being woven into the leaf cape, that's like a standard for Sylvaneth, and it works really well. I'm never going to get bored of that. I'm not a massive fan of having a specific model on the base, that being, I mean, it looks like a plague bearer, doesn't it? It's fine, but it's probably something that I would chop and change a little bit, just to have it be non like enemy faction specific. The face is awful, the headdress is cool. I mean, overall, I just really like this. Following on from the Lady of Vines, we have the Gothamid Archers, which I like and dislike. I like because they are like Tree Revenant / Spite Revenant based, and those are great models. They're fantastic. They're creepy, they're weird, half like wood, half organic, sort of almost like ghostly wraith kind of creatures. I really like that look, and I think it works really well. I love the wings that are on these. The thing is, I was never a big fan of the fact that I believe it's the Arch Revenant, has got that bug with wings attached to his back, which is what makes him fly. I would prefer the wings to just come straight out of the actual Revenants themselves. Then again, they're trying to branch out, no pun intended, to kind of make it so there's more like kind of the Fey and insect side of the forest nature of the Sylvaneth, to kind of, I guess, like, I don't know whether it's to incorporate more of that kind of wood elf feel or to try and steer them further away. I'm not a big wood elf connoisseur, so I couldn't tell you either way, but I know why they've done it. My personal preference would be to have the wings without the bug on the back, but then again, it's quite a big part of Sylvaneth and one that they're looking to expand. Overall, I think the models look decent. From the front, absolutely no problem with them. They have all the things that I like from the Revenant kit, so I'm not going to complain because they are pretty much just Revenants with wings. And I like that. But personal choice, I would be taking the bug off and I would be putting the wings straight on them. Just as a personal choice thing. But again, I do quite like the sculpts. They do look decent. Now, keeping with the insect theme, we have the Spite Rider Lancers as well, which are just full-on Sylvaneth riding insects. I mean, that is literally what they are. The insects do look kind of cool. The faces are a little bit goofy for my taste, but the models on the back of them look great. I think the overall design of the insects themselves are absolutely fine. I think they look pretty cool. Like evil locusts, I guess. Mind you, locusts look pretty evil anyway. Maybe more evil locusts, I suppose. They look okay. They look alright. I'm not a fan of the flying bases, but then I never am. Yeah, overall okay. Overall okay. Like I say, the heads aren't doing that much for me, but I think as a whole, as a cohesive whole, they look pretty cool. Sticking even further with that theme, there are Revenant Seekers as well. So again, we've got Revenants on the back of what looks like the same insect, pretty much. It's just going to be a different loadout by the look of things. From what I can tell, they are the same size. They're the same, like, they're basically the same thing. It's just an alternative build. Although it's puzzling that they've only shown 2 rather than 3, because there were 3 in the previous, but I guess we'll find out whether there's any difference in like how many you can take or something. Again, it's really difficult to find too much to complain about because they're using Revenants, and those are my favourite part of Sylvaneth. So now, of course, along with all of that is the announcement of a new battle tome for Sylvaneth as well. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to end up with it because I've got to use that Sylvaneth army at some point, for God's sake. It's been lying around doing not much for ages, and it just keeps expanding, so I should probably actually use it for something, right? But aside from terrorising the party in D&D, which is what it's had quite a lot of use for, to be honest. There was more chaos action for AOS as well, because we had more Ogroid Theridons. So there's currently an Ogroid Myrmidon and an Ogroid Thaumatarge? I don't know how to pronounce it. There's 2 of these kind of Beastman looking guys already, and now there is units of them. So they've got quite a Beastmen feel, to be honest. I'm kind of surprised they're not just fully Beastmen related, but these are Chaos aligned. They do look good, but then again, I like the Ogroids anyway. I think those are some cool sculpts, and like they kind of there's a lot of like Beastmen stuff that I like, but is a bit too old. The Ogroid stuff is kind of close to that, but is newer and fresher and fits in far better because of the fact it's newer and fresher. So it's kind of difficult for me to dislike these. They're not particularly busy. They're not super they're not like massively over detailed or anything. You've got a good amount of texture when it comes to the crest of hair along the back. I like the weapons. The bandages across the haft are really cool. I always like that. The axe blades look suitably brutal. I quite like the banner as well. I do like that banner. That's a cool banner. I feel like this is a decent unit. This is fun. This is fun. Now, there is an alternative build as well, so instead of taking two-handed weapons, you can take a sword and a shield. I have to say, I think I might prefer the sword and shield look. I think I might prefer that, which, generally speaking, I'm a big fan of gigantic weapons. Again, no pun intended. But for some reason, these just have a certain presence when they've got that extra protection from the shield. I don't know, it just seems to add a little something to them. They look brutal, they look heavy, they look borderline unstoppable. I mean, what more do you want from what are essentially a bunch of bestial warriors fighting for chaos? There was some surprise Black Library action as well, so we've got a Soulblight anti-hero, Kado Ezekiel, I think is how they pronounced his name. I really like this model as a vampires model. It's fantastic. It's got the kind of lone wanderer feel, massive two-handed greatsword, always a fan of that. The armour is very in keeping with the rest of the vampire's range. The hair, whilst dramatic and windswept, isn't quite as mental as it disintegrating it into bats, which is something that I go back and forth on quite a lot as to whether I actually like that particular hairstyle on that model or not. Again, we've got a nice flowing cape going on, nice and tattered at the ends. This is nice. I really like my Soulblight Gravelords. I'm a big fan of just that range in general. I think the Soulblight Gravelords is a super solid range model-wise. And, I mean, this is just another one of those. And really cool. And I just can't find anything that I don't like about it. I even like the head. I even like the guy's face. Even the guy's face is fine. You can see a bit more of the detail close up. The bat wings fold around the scabbard of the greatsword, but the fact there's also it's damaged. It's been damaged so you can see the blade through the leather. That is a super nice touch. I love that touch. That's a really nice little bit of attention to detail. The lion, the wolf's head, dragon's head? Yeah, dragon's head. On the hilt being echoed on the breastplate. Again, that's a really nice touch. I like that a lot. That extra bit of damage on the armour as well. You can see that the pauldrons and the gauntlets, the breastplate as well, they're pockmarked and dinged and dented. And even the belt around it. Now, if that is just painted on damage, bravo, that's fantastic. I get the feeling, though, that there are little chips out of that, which makes it look like it might be sculpted damage. Which, again, I love that attention to detail. This dude's armour and weapon tell a story. It tells a story of someone who is wandering and who doesn't perhaps have the time or resources to keep their equipment in top condition. I like that a lot. So he's going to be in the book The Hollow King, and there is also Drehy Flint, which is a Caradron Overlord's character, as you can clearly tell, who looks extremely squat-like. I've seen a few people say that, but the thing is, he looks like that because Caradron Overlords look like what squats might have looked like, but now don't look like. So I can see it, but also, yeah, I like his weapon. Fantastic weapon. It's an axe that's also a harpoon. Brilliant. He's got some sort of gun that has got 3 barrels spaced apart. Absolutely fantastic. A glorious beard. Absolutely 10 out of 10 beard on the lad. It's a good looking model. I genuinely think you could probably just slot that into 40k as well. Replace that gun with something more 40k. Do a bit of filing on the knees. I mean, hell, the axe probably fits fine how it is. It probably works already. Got some nice detail as well. I really like the weather vane type thing coming out of the power pack. The little pressure gauge, I always like those. Always brings a smile to my face, a little pressure gauge on a power pack. I don't know why. I do love that weapon. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, a harpoon axe. Well, who comes up with this? I mean, it's fantastic, and there should be more harpoon axes in the world. Well, in the right hands. But it seems very over the top and daft, but I like it because of that. Also, again, a decent bare head on the lad. And his book is the Archanaut's Oath. Finally, there was a little teaser, essentially doing the same thing they did with the World Eaters, where they said, hey, you know what? We're making this thing, which will be out at some point. That is Cities of Sigmar. So, Cities of Sigmar is such a fractured, disparate mass of stuff for that faction AOS. There's a load of sculpts that are from fantasy. There's loads of holdovers from that. It kind of feels like the place where sculpts go to be forgotten, honestly. There's loads of Free Guild stuff and things like the Steam Tank, like Empire and Free Guild and all that stuff. It kind of feels like it's not really had much love over the course of Age of Sigmar's life. But refreshing that range is a massive task, because it is essentially all the holdover stuff from fantasy. And of course, the old world's on the way. So the old world is going to have that stuff in it, so they need to differentiate in some way, and it looks like they're going to be updating so there is like a crossover point, or at least so that it's a bit more differentiated. It's a massive job. It's a massive job. So they talked about the coin Malleus, which is a symbolic payment given to members of the Dawnbringer Crusade, and it's gonna be a big job to reimagine just normal humans and the Cities of Sigmar. They showed off some renders, so we've got what looks like a pauldron, we've got a banner, we've got the bottom of another banner, a lot of kind of disparate stuff where it looks like they're just kind of getting the feel for how this stuff is going to look, how it's going to fit into the world, what's going to show up on different units. It's interesting, actually. I'm kind of glad they've shown stuff like this off, because it kind of gives a little glimpse as to where they're going design-wise. As they say, it's one of the biggest undertakings to hit the mortal realms since the launch of Age of Sigmar. So, yeah, that is a big job. Release date? Who knows? How could we possibly? They don't know, I don't think. Question is there anything in there that takes your fancy? Anything that you really like the look of? Any reveal you're super excited by? Anything you're a bit disappointed by? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things. Thank you very much for watching. I apologise if this was a little bit painful. As I say, I don't know why I even tried to record, but I was enjoying myself, so I just carried on. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.